If you're waking up tired, if you're grinding harder, if you're still feeling like it's not enough, you're not broken, you're just burnt out. I'll never forget the night. I know exactly where I was. I was just outside of Morristown, New Jersey on Route 80. I just closed a 7-figure deal and I felt nothing. I felt nothing. No joy, no celebration, just complete emptiness. I was exhausted and I was tired. I was winning on paper, but withering on the inside. If I kept succeeding publicly and suffering privately, that game could not continue. Today, I'm going to show you why most high-achieving men don't need more motivation. They need a new operating system. Welcome back to The Inside Man. I am Gary Kadi, and this show is for high-achieving, high-performing men who've checked all the boxes. We're talking about, the house, the car, the business, all this, but you still feel like something's missing. Today, we're going to talk about burnout, what it really means, why it's not a personal failure, and how to reset from the inside out. Before we get going, though, go to this website right here. You can click on this QR code here, and it's also in the link. The link's in the notes. And you want to download my free guide, 10 Things Guys Suck At and How to Fix It. It's blunt, powerful, and it's based upon my decades of coaching men through their biggest blind spots. So it's a nice little white paper for you there. Now, the point I want to make here is why burnout is not a personal failure. You see, in my book, Life on All Cylinders, that does a lot of the methodology that we're talking about here, you're not broken. You're just using outdated code. See, burnout isn't about working too hard. It's about living out of alignment to who you truly are, like what's down here, not what was given to you from your parents or your past or your traumas. And it allows us to see that most high achievers are addicted to overfunctioning, over responsibility. It's not because they're just ridiculously working hard. It's because they've learned their worth is tied to output. Like if I'm putting out a hard work, I get validated. I'll never forget a quick story about me. I started working when I was 5 years old. My grandfather and uncle used to go to this flea market and they sold like teenage novelties and things like concert t-shirts and things like that. And we manufactured them. My uncle invented the bottle stretching machine, the Coke bottles. They would be stretched and you put sand in them. It was like old school stuff, but it was really cool. And I'll never forget the day. Like I always wanted to go to work with them because I was always trying to run from my traumas of, the house was unsafe that I lived in. And for me, what happened was one day, I'll never forget it, they would go to Englishtown auction sales at 5:00 and I wanted to go with them. And I threw a tantrum and I ended up going and I never stopped working nights and weekends except for baseball season when I played baseball. It was unbelievable. And it was because I got validated at work. I felt good. I wanted to work. I also got money, which money equals freedom to me. So we don't realize that these things that we get things that validate us, all of a sudden become addicted to them. So we've been conditioned to confuse exhaustion with success. The more drained I felt, and this is dysfunctional, the more productive I assumed I was being. I'll never forget it. I used to come home Mondays and face plant after a day because that's where I would be like forcing, maneuvering, telling people what to do, all this BS that I thought I had to do, and I didn't have to do half of it, right? And then meanwhile, the Cats in the Cradle song always, chirps in my ear, and my son goes one Monday, he's like, "Dad, can we play catch?" And I'm like, I just don't have it in me, son. I'm sorry. And I remember how painful that was, that I couldn't even play, catch with my son after work. And I'll never forget that turning point. I started to realize the cost of operating this way. See, burnout is really a check engine light for your life. It really is. Like, and by the way, it will ring loud. That really loud noise in the car, and it gets louder and it's just annoying. It's not a sign of weakness here when you're getting that alarm going off. It's a sign for you to call for a realignment of how you're working and what you're doing. And don't end up like me twice. I almost died. I was, riding my bike twice on a bike. On Broadway and 57th in front of Nordstrom's, and I got hit by a pickup truck and broke a couple ribs and didn't die, but like That was a wake up call. And then recently, I had a mountain biking accident where I broke my femur, my right hip, and my clavicle. And I don't need more evidence to know that I needed to slow down. And that's why I created this Inside Man podcast and coaching program, because I felt like I needed to do this for the world and for the men that I believe are going through what I was going through. I wasn't alone. And so I took my breakdown to create and pull together this whole concept for high achieving men. So you can turn any breakdown into a breakthrough, and that's what's available to you. And we're going to unpack this. So I want to share with you a night I realized I was running on empty. I'll never forget the night. I know exactly where I was. I was in just outside of Morristown, New Jersey on Route 80. I just closed a 7-figure deal, and I felt nothing. I felt nothing, like no joy, no celebration, just complete emptiness. And I was exhausted and I was tired, and I was winning on paper, but withering on the inside. See, I was wealthy on the outside and bankrupt on the inside. And that was the night I realized I wasn't broken. I was just burned out because I was just so obsessively serving people and having zero attention on serving myself. And I was avoiding myself by being so successful out there. And I noticed this, like the more successful some of the guys that I work with, the more inside that they're yearning for this fulfilling game that we're talking about here. Because this is the thing, it's like the rubber band effect. The more trauma, the more stress, the more, avoidance on the inside, the more work on the outside. And the disproportionate distinction here allows for you to see like how deep it runs on the outside. So like I don't look at somebody on the outside like I used to, like like this idea of like comparing myself. I now have compassion instead of comparing. I'd be like, wow, I'm not as good as that guy over there, and I'm not doing as well as that guy over there. I used to compare myself. Now I have compassion because I understand that we're all dealing with something, but it's just unspoken, untreated, undealt with. Undealt with? Yeah, we're going with that. Undealt with. So anyway, spending years chasing validation, building businesses, being the provider, running the money at home and at the office. But I never learned how to be the BE, being. And this distinction being I want to bring to life for you, which is how you show up for yourself. Beingness is how you show up for yourself and others. And so I started focusing not on all these things external to me. What I realized was I needed to go inside and look at who I was being. I knew that if I didn't rewrite the way I lived, it was not sustainable, right? It was not going to be sustainable. So if I kept succeeding publicly and suffering privately, that game could not continue. And again, that's why this has all been created, because I went and looked and tried to figure out a way. So I want to teach you 3 ways to recover from burnout without burning it all down. I remember I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs in one day, and almost everyone goes through the same thing where it's like, I hate going into my own business. I want to just sell this thing. But they like, if I sell this, what am I going to do? It's like that, right? So first thing you want to do to get out of burnout is identifying where you're out of alignment with your personal values and goals. So, Life on All Cylinders in here teaches you that burnout is an alignment issue, not an energy issue. So you get zapped of energy when you don't have alignment and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, can't do, but you're doing anyway, right? So I want you to use inside the book, it's the 8 cylinders model. Looking at your mind, looking at your body, looking at your spirit, looking at relationships, looking at your money, looking at your work, looking at the purpose behind it all, and then your fun. 8 cylinders. Those 8 cylinders make up the inside man. So what I want you to do is really ask yourself, am I leaking energy because I'm living out of integrity with who I am? So I want to distinguish integrity here. Integrity is your truth about who you say you're going to be. Now, what's my integrity around my mind? It's peaceful. My body, really setting it up for longevity, getting my weight to where I need it. Are you the type of guy like I was? I was reading those charts and it said that my frame should be 180. And I'm like, that's bunk. That's like BS. No, there's when I was 230, it was bunk, but now I'm 180. I'm like, yeah, that was right. And I get that. My spirit, I didn't even know that I had a spirit inside me. I was spiritual, but I didn't know that the spirit lived within me and it lives within everybody. Relationships, I looked around and it's like, I want to be connected to my wife in a way that we just, we just roll. And, sometimes we were arguing and I was creating the arguments because I was just exhausted. I didn't even know what I was arguing with my wife about half the time. So connected relationships with my wife, with my son, with my team, my key team, my inner circle team, being in relationship with my sister, my best friend, Carmelo, and Michael Fishman and Kevin Stomba and these guys, like being related to them, then looking at my money, making sure I had bulletproof money. Like I got a guy and you're going to have a guy, Jim Do. It's like, that dude sat me down. He goes, Gary, you're too conservative of an investor. He sat me down. He goes, let me educate you. He took some time and it's like, people are standing for me. He's not trying to take my money. He doesn't need my money, so really working with people. And I don't have to do all this, but I have to be responsible for it. See, there's a difference between responsibility and accountability. Responsibility is taking ownership of these 8 areas. Accountability is thinking you have to do everything to have the outcome happen in these areas. That's not true. This inside man concept, this life on all cylinders, you actually have to delegate, have to put systems in, have to do that. You can't do it all your own, but you experience the top of the food chain in all these areas. And I looked at my work and I just didn't like what I was doing. So now I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and that's educate other men how to live a life beyond their wildest dreams and beyond any limits, right? And so I spend all day having these conversations, and that's more aligned to who I am. And then my purpose behind my work is creating freedom. It's aligned there. And man, we are having fun. We're going to have a killer coaching program in Savannah, in Carefree, Arizona, in December. 3 days of immersion, ropes courses, trust courses, like bonfire conversation. It's going to be freaking awesome. I do live events interactively and fun, and I can't wait. I'm designing it now. It's just a blast. So making it fun, going to places that are fun and doing this work. And then, asking, where am I leaking the energy, and really writing that down. And the action plan here is to look at those 8 cylinders. You can go to my website, go here to the website. You can download the guide and do a personal audit. You'll see the 8 cylinders are on there, and see where your exhaustion is sourced. It's not random. If you look through those areas, you're going to see that, am I actively involved? Am I avoiding? Am I actively involved or am I avoiding? Because if those 8 things aren't working in harmony, you can't have a 911 turbo and enjoy the ride. You just can't. So you have to begin to bringing awareness in. Awareness is first, then accepting the area that is zapping your energy, and then really going to work using the principles that are in Life on All Cylinders book and the podcast here on my website, or you can reach out to me. So reclaiming your rhythm is number 2, reclaiming your rhythm. And in the book, I quote in there, you cannot override nature and expect peace. See, we tend to do that. We tend to ignore our body signals. We need a rhythm, not a grind. Are you working? Are you better at night? Are you better in the morning? Instead of just going into a default mode, really designing how you want to work and then really plugging that into how it's going to go. The other thing about reclaiming your rhythm, like getting in a rhythm, I have a 15-minute process in the morning where I do education, enlightenment, and exercise. Simple, easy, 15 minutes. Start with 15 minutes. Now I do it for hours in a day. Build in recovery time, build in breath work, Make non-negotiable meetings with resting and taking time off. I'll never forget when I blocked off Friday afternoons and Monday mornings. What? That was never going to happen because I'm not my best self Monday morning and I'm not my best self Friday afternoon. So I just blocked them out and I'm just not available. You know what happened? My weekends got better because I didn't have to go into the grind at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. And then I realized that I have Friday afternoons available. Then all of a sudden I cut off all Fridays. Then I cut off all Mondays and I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And like that was not possible because my unevictable roommate was saying, you got to make payroll. You got to pay your bills. You got to do fear, and scarcity. And starting to build in these small things, these 15 minutes where I read a passage from something motivational that I'm connected to. I make sure I do my breathing exercise in the morning. I have an arrow fit that I breathe in and breathe out. It's connected to an app. It's fantastic. I make sure I breathe. Breathing is a key thing. I look at my Aura ring and I check to see what kind of sleep and what kind of stress I have. So I'm really in tune, bringing awareness to the body's indicators, not just like getting fried. I had a dentist I worked with. He goes, Gary, I don't care about any of this. I'm just going to fall dead over my last patient because I don't want to confront anything. I go, great. If that's how you want to end it, awesome. I can't help you. But if you want to live your life fully right now and not have that be your endpoint, you can start putting in attentions and putting rhythms in and becoming aware. So I want you to block 30 minutes a day somewhere for you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to back it off. That's a little too aggressive. 15 minutes a day for your nervous system reset. It might be a walk. It might be deep breathing. It might be journaling. No screens, just you, not you talking to somebody, not you getting on with the AirPods and talking on the phone. Just you. Look at nature, get present. Just do that 15 minutes a day. That's action step number one. Number two, excuse me. So number one is identify where you're out of alignment. Number two is reclaim your rhythm. Number three is upgrade your operating system. So you're going to hear from me a lot about this iOS. We're creating the Inside Man operating system. You don't need more fuel. You need a new engine. Here's what I mean by that. The Inside Man work is about rewiring the machinery. Maybe you're taking a gas-powered engine and turning it into, an electric-driven engine. Rewiring the belief that says, I only matter when I perform. That's the new engine. Getting that belief is that I only matter when I perform and I'm doing things. By the way, some people feel like they can't get paid unless they're doing something. I work with a lot of doctors and they're like, if I'm not doing the work, I don't feel like I'm justified to charge for it. Like a dentist would have a hygienist. It's really interesting. So start practicing a new script. I matter when I'm present. I matter when I'm present. Not being present in the day, in your life, in your wife's life, in your kid's life, in your team's life. And then speak this truth out loud every morning. You brushing your teeth and you want to write this. I am valuable even when I'm not producing. I am valuable even when I'm not producing. Maybe you put it on a Post-it note. I am valuable even when I'm not producing. It's going to start breaking you out of that collapsed thing that is this justifier of like, if I'm not exhausted, I'm not going to be able to do it. And then you're going to start seeing things break apart where you're going to notice how you've been trading time for money and you're going to start trading value for money. And it's a game changer. It really starts transforming your space, your fears, your enjoyment around, being able to have time and space for things that you really enjoy. So listen, the key takeaway today is about burnout doesn't mean you're broken. It means that it's time to build a new foundation, one built on alignment of values, alignment to purpose, not adrenaline. That's just the vicious cycle of you just churning and burning over and over again. The call to action here is I want you to download the free guide, 10 Things Guys Suck At and How to Fix It. This will take you deeper down and out of burnout. It's a direct hit of awareness and practical tools that help you stop leaking energy out of this 8-cylinder machine we talked about today and start living from true power. And the links are in my show notes here as well. And I want to leave you with this. This is Gary Kadi reminding you burnout is not failure. It's your body asking you for a new way forward. Listen to your body. Your body keeps score. Lean back and I will tell you that I will see you when I see you. I cannot wait to see you refreshed, joyful, and connected to your values and your purpose. Have a great one.